firstly to ask you, Minister, to report on your recent visit to Washington DC, and particularly around your discussions on the fate of the undocumented Irish. What measures or what issues did you raise actually with your counterparts in America, and can you report any progress in that regard with the new administration?
Thank you. Minister.
I propose to take questions 31, 40, 41, 58 and 61 together. As I made clear in my statement of the 29th of January 2017 concerning the executive order signed by President Trump on the 27th of January last, while US immigration policy is a matter for US authorities, it is clear that that decision could have far-reaching implications, both on humanitarian grounds and on relations between the US and the global Muslim community. Accordingly, I share the concerns expressed by other EU partners regarding this development. I have noted the clarification issued by the Embassy of the United States in Dublin on the 31st of January 2017 to the effect that the executive order in question does not restrict the travel of dual nationals to the United States, so long as they hold the passport of an unrestricted country and possess a valid US visa, if required. The US courts have since intervened and imposed a suspension on the implementation of the executive order. Both the executive order of 27th of January and the question of immigration reform in the United States were high on the agenda for my visit to Washington DC from the 31st of January to the 2nd of February last. I had a number of engagements with the administration and congressional leaders, including Speaker of the US House of Representatives, the House Majority Leader, the House Minority Leader, among others. In my meetings with congressional leaders, as well as with the now former US National Security Advisor General Flynn, I expressed Ireland's deep concerns with regard to the nature and impact of the executive order of the 27th of January last. In response, General Flynn outlined to me the rationale in terms of US immigration policy for these temporary measures, while I pointed out their damaging consequences in humanitarian terms, as well as for the international reputation of the United States of America itself. Achieving relief for the undocumented Irish citizens in the US and securing greater legal pathways for migration to the US remain key objectives of this government. These priorities featured in all of my meetings in Washington DC, including with General Flynn, Speaker Paul Ryan and other congressional leaders. Both the administration and members of Congress are fully aware of the importance of this issue for Ireland and appreciate our strong and continuing interest in securing immigration reform. Can I say that Taoiseach's forthcoming visit to Washington DC for St Patrick's Day, and I now see that this visit is widely welcomed throughout the House, this visit will provide a key opportunity to raise the issue of immigration reform, especially the plight of our undocumented, which can be raised directly with the US administration at its highest levels. During my visit, I also met with members of the Irish community in Washington DC, reassured them of the government's commitment to immigration reform. I emphasised that, while the political context in Washington may have changed, the government's objectives remain constant: relief for the undocumented and finding greater pathways for legal migration to the United States of America. I noted that we can only advance these objectives if we engage fully and if we articulate our views with the key decision makers in the administration and in Congress. In addition to these contexts at political level, the Embassy in Washington and our consulates across the United States continue to work with Irish immigration centres on a daily basis in providing the support to Irish citizens in the US. Our ambassador to the US held a workshop with key immigration stakeholders in the Irish community from across the United States at the Embassy on the 12th of January last. Ambassador Anderson and her team remain fully engaged. The government and my department are committed to providing practical support to undocumented Irish citizens in the US, while also continuing to advocate for immigration reform. And in this regard, I want to acknowledge the work and commitment and engagement at every level by my colleague Minister of State McHugh, who is today on diaspora duties outside the jurisdiction.
The first supplementary is from O'Brien.
Thanks, Minister, for outlining that. Can I ask you, for the purpose of the discussions that the Taoiseach will have with President Trump, and from your own position as Minister for Foreign Affairs and Trade, are we exploring other options. Obviously, the Obama plan is dead in the water now with the new administration insofar as overall immigration reform. And I don't think we can wait for necessarily a change of administration to look at a new tact. Are we looking at reciprocal visa arrangements, like a bilateral arrangement between Ireland and the United States, similar to the one that is in place between Australia and the United States, whereby the undocumented Irish could apply and could get some type of temporary legal status, but could apply for these visas, and the fact that they are undocumented or illegal in America would not preclude them from applying to them. So are we looking at reciprocal visa arrangements, or are we waiting for overall immigration reform in the United States? I put it to you that we should move ahead with bilateral specific deal between ourselves and the US, or at least the possibility of that. Thank you.
Next question.